Pictionary, the game of video quick draw. And welcome to Nostalgia, a chronological exploration of every NES game released in North America. I'm Mike.
I'm Sean.
And I'm Joe.
And unlike typical NES games, that focus on action, adventure, platforming, Pictionary is that board game that everybody plays with amongst friends. But it's not the first, board game or tabletop-like game we've seen. I mean, if chess can get the video version, why can't Pictionary? Why can't Monopoly? Why can't Scrabble, right? It's all coming eventually. Pictionary is just a little early to the party, but really it is a party game. So, is Pictionary really all that different of a release in 1990 as Jackbox Party Pack is now?
I think it's a little different.
Well, okay, probably on execution, which is what this whole episode will be. But I guess I meant in its audience, right? There is an audience for this kind of thing of what would be better if I could play the thing that has all these different items and just have the computer do it for me, right? That's kind of like the promise of the video game versions of these.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely always been a market for something like this, provided that it's executed properly.
I would say, though, that Jackbox is unique in that they are designed for video play. And Pictionary, this game is replacing something that you really just need a pad of paper for.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like when you play video Yahtzee, right? And all it's doing is just rolling the dice for you and doing the math.
Yes.
But at least there's a calculator component being solved. I don't know if, especially on 8-bit graphics, if anything is being solved here that couldn't have been done better on paper with a pen.
Well, here's what it's doing. So this is not Pictionary. There's two modes. One, there's mode 1, which we'll get into, and there's mode 2. Mode 2 is the replacement for the pad and paper, because it's just here are your you create some teams. They ask you to create some teams, and then they're just all right, here's the screen. Draw on the screen. Yes, they don't even give you prompts.
Right. They don't give you the prompts, which is the strangest part, in my opinion. I guess you're just supposed to go on a system of your own choosing. But my point was, some people might argue that, now it's more of a challenge because you have to draw using the D-pad. But wouldn't you want the opposite of a challenge when you're trying to bring something that's already successful, right? The challenge, it's not supposed to be it's going to be really hard to draw these things. It's supposed to be, it's really hard to draw these things in a totally different way. Not because of a technological problem, not because I don't know how to hold a pen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agree with that. And I played with a few people. Actually played it like a party game.
People that'll play this with you.
I was actually in Salt Lake City this weekend for a wedding, and stayed with a friend of mine, and I was there for a whole week. So the last day of my trip, when I was winding down, and there were a couple other people that stayed with the same friend. There were 5 of us playing this game. We split into teams of 2 and 3, and look, anything that you're going to criticize about this game, I will probably also criticize about this game, but I will probably also be one that is finding some value in it. And I do find, and even the people I was playing with don't necessarily agree with me on this, but I did find some value in drawing with that stupid apparatus you're trying to draw with, where you're, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before because I had thought we played this on the podcast before, but you draw with this pen that's you kind of have to drive around with tank controls. So that's really stupid and very, very impossible to actually draw what you're trying to do. But there is some value in the fact that both teams have to draw with this stupid pen, and it's like you have to like. It does make for a good laugh while you're playing, and like in that sense, there's some fun guessing happening there. I thought this is again me playing the devil's advocate because I experienced this like party atmosphere of it, but
so this is
just wanted to throw that out there.
This is the Octodad of board game adaptations.
I never played Octodad, but sounds like that would be the sentiment.
It's true.
Okay.
So, like the Pictionary board game, there is a board component to it as well. Players start on the same square, you draw your clue, and then correct guesses allow the teams to roll the dice. That's more true in the alternative mode or mode 2, whatever. The one that's not the main attraction.
The one we've been talking about, yeah.
Right. The one you would think it would be like the first thing you select because it's traditional Pictionary. But actually, the first mode is just a like video gamified version of playing Pictionary where nobody draws. Instead, you play mini games against a timer to reveal parts of a drawing. And so you'll play these mini games, Paint Invaders, Box Delivery, Space Mission, Fire Rescue. You'll play these games, and if you like, let's take Box Delivery as an example, right? So you pick up the boxes on the left side of the screen, you have to avoid these enemies, and the number of boxes you deliver to the right side, that many squares reveal themselves. But the size of the squares and what can be revealed, usually, in my experience, revealed almost nothing for like the first 25 to 50% of the picture.
You could have 80% of the board uncovered, and you still won't know what the fuck it is because, like, here's the thing: you've got a computer drawing for you, and the computer decides to draw the most asinine, basic shit, and it's like, oh, like it'll be like a rectangle with like maybe a smaller rectangle on the end. They'll be like, no, that's a parakeet. What are you talking about? Like, and
See,
it'll just like it won't even accept. It won't even tell you what it was. When you can't get it right.
Yeah, when you don't get something right and it doesn't tell you what it was, that drives me crazy. That ruins the fun of it for me because I want to at least know if I was close or whatever. My guess would be that they didn't have enough things programmed in, and if it tells you the answer to everything you get wrong, then you just know everything. But I didn't think that the computer's drawings, if you reveal enough, were like hard to decipher most of the time.
Well, the problem is that the computer is drawing with the same limitations that a player would have with the D-pad, when the computer could just reveal a little more intricate drawings than what a player could do in the same 60 seconds.
Okay, I mean, maybe I didn't get enough of these, but I'm looking at one right now. It's very obviously very rudimentary, but it's also very obviously a fish. It's like child's drawing of a fish. But like I felt the opposite, that not that the drawings were too hard. I felt that when you were given a prompt to draw in the other mode, that's when it was like my first prompt that I had to draw was density.
Wait, so the game will give you the prompt?
Yeah.
I was playing the second mode, and it was just like, here you go, draw.
No, it gives you like the prompt of what to draw, and there were a bunch of, for me though, like for our group, they were all like, one of them was, what was it, like one of them was like 2 words that were together that I wouldn't even have thought were together. It was like foot box or something like that. I was like, what? No, who's gonna guess that?
Wait, Mike, can you confirm?
It was sweat box. It was sweat box.
Yeah, you do get the prompts.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not the main mode anyway. I'll have more to talk about this one.
But yeah, I guess because what we did is we played this 2-player whatever mode 2 whatever it was, and had all these crazy things that even if we could draw, how do you draw density? I mean, I guess I don't know. I can't even think of, even if I could just draw on a piece of paper. So what I ended up doing is just drawing like everything in the very middle, and like I just kept drawing like more and more lines in one spot.
I'm sure they were all very happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was also the first time that anyone drew on it, so I was like still learning the controls. But then after that, we went on to the other mode with the mini games, And yes, I agree that a lot of the things you reveal are just empty spaces that give you no information. But if we ever revealed enough information, it was usually something where it was like, fair enough, like we can guess this as long as we had enough of the lines reveled.
Okay,
like,
as long as
it never felt. Yeah,
as
it never.
long
I'm
as
just
you
saying,
had
it never
enough
felt
of the
like
lines revealed, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it never felt like the drawing was like, because of the limitations, like the drawing didn't look like what it was trying to look like.
Right, but these minigames aren't exactly reveal friendly. The fire rescue one, for instance, okay?
Which is very graphic.
Yeah, graphic, sure. Burning building, people are falling out of it. You have to kind of catch them. It's no different than that Game & Watch game where you do that. But they're jumping out like in a way that I am certain
It's impossible to get them all.
task bots couldn't even make it so that you could save everybody. So the timer's constantly going down. You're saving people that are revealing mostly nothing. I guess my point is that, sure, in a perfect world, if you revealed 75% of the image, it should be obvious, right? Like you should only need 50% of the image probably to know what it is. I'm saying, how much were you able to actually reveal from these mini games compared to the timer that you were given and how fast it drains based on like box delivery? Those enemies are going to take out if you try to take like more than 3 boxes at a time. They're going to bound to be taking out at least one of them.
I don't want to brag about me and my friends, but I feel like we revealed a lot of these with these.
Okay.
At first, we were having this trouble, but like, I had a friend who was like a master at box delivery. Like when I did box delivery, I would do 1 box at a time. He would do like full stacks and not get hit by the green thing. I don't know how he did it. I was pretty good at the fire rescue one. Yes, there are some that absolutely are impossible to get, but I think I revealed enough where we were able to guess correctly every time I played the fire rescue. And the other one where you're like jumping on the platforms, like I think we might be an elite team of Pictionary NES players.
I grant you that. I grant you that the games aren't impossible. That they're designed to maybe not be fully revealed, the pictures or whatever. But here's my problem with all this. This main mode, where most, I would imagine, of the development, man hours, and money went, is not Pictionary. This is not... Like, Pictionary is basically a communication game. Like, you are trying to describe visually a thing, and you're trying to, like, play to your audience. You're supposed to be, like, you know your friends. They'll get it the way that you're drawing it. And it's never like... There's no fog of war for the piece of paper that you're playing. And I get that this is a unique way to at least make it so that you aren't drawing for a computer that can't guess, which I would imagine was the first like design question they had, was how do we have like a single player version of this when there's nobody that can guess. But like it's just not Pictionary. This is a game where you play little mini games to like kind of to get like a Pictionary flavored side thing at the end.
Yeah. Well, all right. I didn't expect this was going to happen, but I'm going to completely take on the role of Pictionary defender for the rest of this episode now. Not what I went into this episode thinking I was going to do, but now I'm just going to play into it now. But yeah, this is not Pictionary, but the other mode is Pictionary. So they gave you Pictionary and they gave you something else.
Yeah, they gave you like the earliest version of Mario Party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, like you're going on the board, you land on a space, you get a new mini game, and then that new mini game. I mean, look, I'll be honest. I think the problem is that I actually just didn't like the mini games that were provided. They were almost either too simple, didn't have enough controls. Like, for instance, the box one, right? My memory serves me correct. You can't jump in that to get over enemies, so you are just kind of at the mercy of like a little bit of stalling no matter what happens to load the boxes at the right time, move them around. I don't want to focus too much on the box thing, but like
there's also the one where you're platforming in the most basic 3 platform room.
Right. It's
nothing ever changes.
It's like that would be what would be so bad about Mario Party is if that like instead like as you were going across the board, everything just took you into like a smaller Super Mario Brothers 1 style level, and that was the game. It's like the variety, the depth of those mini games, the excitement of those is what makes that game sell well. I feel like once I get to my fifth round of Paint Invaders, which is really just Space Invaders, but I guess Taito has like a patent on like them coming down on the screen, so now they come upwards on the screen to avoid any kind of lawsuits. That's really the only difference between that and Space Invaders, and it's just not that fun as like a small little bite-sized thing. They definitely could have tackled this minigame thing in a way that, like the fire rescue one, for instance, if every person could be saved in those, and I'm not talking about like, making it super easy. I'm talking about like realistically, like those people are just dropping out of those windows at like the same time and they're on two separate sides of the screen. You have to choose. And chances are you will do like the Dark Knight dilemma where you want to save the one person, try to go there, but you're going to the other person instead, and now nobody wins because both of them are exactly.
No! Well, the other thing that we haven't mentioned either is in all of these games, but like for the jumping out of the window one, saving the people jumping out of the window, there's always something that gives you a time penalty. And in this game, not saving someone gives you a time penalty. So it's not even like, oh, I didn't reveal something. No, now I lose time also for not saving someone that I couldn't have saved. And I agree that is a design flaw. I also want to mention that you said that they didn't want to get copyright striked or whatever, but did you listen to the music during some of these?
Well, the music is the main attraction of the game, Joe. It's if we're ready to talk about it.
Not even talking about like the masterpiece that is the menu music, but the music during the like the jumping out of the window one is 100% with no doubt Another One Bites the Dust.
Yeah, probably.
No, like listen to it. Can you play it right here? It's Another One Bites the Dust.
Well, then we might get a strike, but go ahead.
I have no shame at this point. I've been playing the NES music every episode. Yeah, I mean, the music though is this for me the highlight of the game. It's like that's what people still. There is the theme song, sure, but I do think just the music throughout is also pretty good. I do think that's like what makes this game remembered. I don't think anybody was ever going to like have this. Remember Pictionary on the NES without that theme song? And it is Tim Follin, and it is we've had his tracks before, and we'll have more of them, and it is pretty legendary. But I still think like even if you know it's coming, if you don't know it's coming, it's even better, right? You're like,
can't
okay,
remember this song. I didn't. We just had this conversation about playing games on mute. I don't remember this at all.
You don't remember the song for Pictionary?
No.
Oh my God, Sean.
I feel like we've talked about it like in real life several times.
Yeah, Sean, it's the hottest track that ever dropped on the NES of all
There's
time.
a guitar solo in it somehow.
Yeah. It is unreal. So please check it out.
Is it just at the main menu?
Yeah, it's just as the game boots up even. You can't even don't press start or anything.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, you wanted to get right to the action.
No, I think it's actually also plays like in between, like when you're on the board. It plays sometime during the game also. I remember hearing it a bunch of times. Okay. I don't remember when.
Well, that's probably when I went into mute mode. But that's what I'm saying. Even if you know it's coming, it still blows you away. Like, just why doesn't, like so many other games, and we've always played the soundtracks during the episodes, some of the other games have some of the most annoying music you've ever heard in your life, and you just, like, we don't talk about it on the episode because it's like, I don't really have much to say about it. I'm not here to grade the games based on their music, but why can't they all sound like this? Do we want to talk any more about the drawing stuff? Your attempt at drawing things, Joe, since you had a bunch of friends Were you guys able to mostly guess what each other were drawing, or was that harder?
Nobody guessed one thing that someone tried to draw ever. Yeah, we played for 25 minutes. We were still all on this first spot of the board. Nobody moved. Yeah, it's impossible.
They gave
to
you
draw
Pictionary. You just said they gave you Pictionary.
It's
and you
Pictionary though.
Fucking play Pictionary.
It's Pictionary. It's like really, really hard Pictionary. And if we had given it more time, we maybe would have gotten some. But yeah, it's like I'm not even really in reality saying that like it would be fun to play through a whole game of Pictionary like this.
In reality, saying that.
No, I'm playing a part right now. Okay, I saw you guys were very against it. We needed a role of someone to be pro Pictionary, but I did have fun in those times because it was so hard and so impossible. Like it's just that party mode atmosphere where it's like everybody's laughing and you can't, it's really hard to draw. Now we went around maybe twice. Everybody drew twice, but like I think you need to practice on this for like several times before you can even realistically draw something. But yeah, it's very, very hard. And I don't know if we want to like talk more about like exactly what is happening when you're drawing, but you literally are this little vehicle that you drive around the screen, and you have to hold down A if you want it to start like leaving a trail of drawing behind it as you're driving, and then another button to stop doing that, and then there's another button that makes perfect circles that you hit all the time accidentally, and then so there's just circles all over your drawings. Like then there's like the down button means one thing, and then the left and right button adds circles, and then one adds a bigger circle, and then something deletes things. So it's just like you're just always messing up. It's quite a mess, but it is. It's definitely Pictionary hard mode.
Joe, I don't think I'm being so hard on the game. So far, I've compared it to Jackbox Party Pack, Super Mario Party. I could go on. I could talk about...
true.
It's like Among Us,
I confuse
right?
you and Sean a lot.
Among Us.
Yeah, it's like Among Us. Come on, think about the multiplayer communication aspect. All right, they both share that.
Now you're just being mean.
Look, let me put it this way. If we're all sitting in a room together, I might suggest we play Pictionary in the NES.
This is the last thing I want to do with you.
I know. Maybe the two of you, not anymore, because I know you wouldn't be into it. But like, it wasn't a bad time. Like, I'm not saying that makes it a good game, but it wasn't a bad time to play this terrible game with my friends.
So I took a look at every possible prompt you could get. And I pulled all that into a list and submitted that list to AI and asked it, what conclusions can you draw based on the large list of possible clues you could get? And the number one thing it recognized was the simplicity of every word, and that the majority of answers are short, common, and easily recognizable words. Many answers are 1 to 2 words long, like dog, arm,
you fed this to
t-shirt.
ChatGPT.
Yes, exactly. Just to see if there was any, what could it find? What was there a bias on certain things? And the funny thing is that it mostly just talks about how like childish all the choices are. But then Joe brings up that density one. Like up here I've got just random picking right now. Okay, dog, arm, cup, cat, house, snail, arm, knee. Like those all are things that like if you gave them to me in the actual Pictionary, I could draw those, sure. Like I could draw my attempt at them, like that's the fun of it, right? Like I give you my version of a cat, no problem. I don't know about the NES version. I think I'd give it a good shot with cat or with arm, but the density one, like that's insane.
Yeah, I know how I would draw density.
How?
You have a bunch of little dots far apart on one side, and then you have a bunch of little dots close together on the other, and you put like a difference sign or something. It's simple.
Yeah, not terrible, but try it on the NES.
Well, I would. I'm saying how I would draw it on a piece of paper, the way you're supposed to play Pictionary.
It's dignity. Don't you know dignity when you're looking at it?
But I'm surprised, now I'm looking at them too, I'm surprised how many of them are pretty simple, because the ones that stand out to me are density and sweatbox, which I don't know what is a sweatbox?
Like a sauna?
Or, yeah, I don't know. I drew a box and I tried to put like beads of sweat on the outside of it, but nobody got it because nobody puts those words together like ever. But there were a couple others that I remember being like, yeah, how are you going to draw that? But maybe I was thinking, how are you going to draw that on here for some of them?
Here's another modern game to compare it to. Scribblenauts, okay? Scribblenauts is a game where you draw anything or you write anything, and then it turns into an object in the game. Maybe that could have been applied to the minigame side of this, where the drawing part, like you were drawing to create clues or something in the larger game, so that was the minigame component, is like whatever you were, like let's say you had to play Pong or something, but you can draw your Pong stick. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I'm trying my hardest to help Joe out here with the defense. There are definitely some merits here, though. I just think that, like, okay, so now here's another one. Tabletop Simulator, okay? That's a game that can just simulate any kind of tabletop board game, and people can make any kind of mod they want for it. Does a Pictionary mod exist for Tabletop Simulator? Probably not.
Probably.
You think so? You think there's a demand for this?
I don't think there's a demand for it. I think that,
somebody's
it probably exists. Yeah. Have you seen mods? Have you met mods?
There is a Pictionary for Tabletop Simulator. We're doing live follow-up here. And honestly, it looks like a great game compared to the one we got on the NES.
Well, I'm sure it's also being done in like VR, which is funny in its own right.
And it has 1,200 clues. And 1,200 adult clues and 800 junior clues, so that everyone can play. Well, that's like... so they always phrase them like that, too. Like, I had a Disney trivia game that had, like, 1,000 adult clues and then, like, 100... Yeah, right? And then, like, 100 kids clues, but it's like, who's the Disney trivia thing really for? But the adult clues were so hard. It was like... I still can't get them today. Like, it was for, like, true diehard Disney fans, and I just couldn't believe that was the majority of the clues in that board game. And then there was this small kids version that's like, what's the name of Aladdin's, pet monkey? And it's like, is that his pet or his friend?
That's the answer. It was a trick question.
Yeah. Okay. Should we go back to the music? No. Here's a question, Joe. So you play with your friends.
Yeah.
Did you get to the end?
We did on single player. Definitely not while we were playing like actually a game against each other. But on single player, we got to the end and we unlocked the spray can or something.
You unlocked that's an unlockable item.
You like get, there's like the 4 pieces that you can be. You like get it as like a trophy at the end, and it's like, you've got the spray can.
Is this the first like instance of like an unlockable?
Yeah, maybe it could be. I'm telling you, game was ahead of its time. We're not even at its time yet.
What would be cool there, though, is if you unlocked the spray can as like, now you can draw with like this spreading.
That's sort of what I thought you meant. But...
That would have been neat.
See, and each one of them could have been a different tool. Like one's a paintbrush, one's a spray can, and so you're actively working to like unlock the next one.
That would have been really cool.
It also would have been annoying, though. I'm sure we would have complained about it, too. That, like, why aren't these things just included in the game from the beginning? There's different drawing modes.
Yeah. See, I've been watching a video, and I'm watching somebody play the alternate mode, and I still don't see where they're telling you the prompt.
Maybe we're talking about different modes, because it was like a whole screen. It was like, tell everybody to look away. Here's your prompt. When you're ready, press A. You can look at it for as long as you want. So maybe that's not the same as mode 2. Maybe that's just multiplayer.
There's only 3 modes total.
And the third one's just practice draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mode 1 is the minigames.
Yes.
What are you getting for mode 2 then? Maybe you need to be in multiplayer to get prompts, which would be dumb, but...
yeah, I don't know. I guess...
that's an interesting thing. Maybe if you...
This guy's got multiplayer, and it's still not showing that stuff.
If you played solo, maybe it knew you had nobody around, so it just was like, all right, we're turning this into a practice mode. Just draw whatever you like.
I don't think that's the case, but I you know what? I have to believe that Joe's not making all of this up.
Maybe I just remember doing the prompts. I'm misremembering.
No,
I remember density.
The game comes with like 500 fortune cookie like pieces of paper, and you're supposed to put those in a hat and draw the clues before you draw on the screen.
That's what I thought they were trying to
do.
Like, you got to go find the clues somewhere
The game comes with a pad
else.
of paper.
Yeah.
The game comes with a pad of paper and pencil, and you could play it on there, and the cartridge just goes in, and you play the Tim Follins music while you're playing Pictionary.
So here, okay, not that this was supposed to become an interview with Joe, so I'll ask both of you this question, but we know Sean's answer. If you're given the chance to play Pictionary ever again, not for the NES, just the concept of Pictionary, would you say, hey, you know, I do have this NES cartridge of Pictionary that we could play, or would you just say, like, pen and paper's fine?
No, absolutely pen and paper is what you're going to go with. Like, okay, so yes, this is not a good substitute for Pictionary, to Sean's point earlier. It's a good Pictionary-like party game that is, like, the fun of it is that, like, you can't draw properly. You know, it is kind of, in that sense, I think, like one of those Jackbox games where it's like, yeah, the point, you know, this wasn't deliberate, but, like, the point of playing it for me is, like, look how bad our drawings are now. Look how hard it is to actually draw. Like, that's what's funny about it. That's what made it, like, enjoyable to me, is in that sense.
So it's like that trombone game.
Yes, I think I know what you're talking about. It's like a trombone
where, like,
Guitar Hero.
Yeah, but it always sounds like shit, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But the appeal in Jackbox's, like, drawful games is just about the same, right? Like, sometimes it is just so funny how bad people draw on their cell phones when they show up on the TV.
Right.
So, you know, there is still, like, technology or just skill, like, limits people in the field of Pictionary and drawing games.
Yes.
Yeah. And, like, in no world do I believe that this was intentional on the developer's part, but that's, you know, in 2024, that's what it felt like. It just felt like, this is hilarious, you know? And I'm here talking so much about that mode, and I do think that, like, the mode with more merit is the minigame mode, not as a Pictionary replacement, but just like, oh, that's an interesting type of game where you have to reveal this picture by playing the minigame.
But the minigames suck.
Yeah, I mean, I do wish the minigames were better.
Yeah. I think we did the essential games list.
Yeah, that sounds like it.
Wait, what was my vote?
You voted it essential.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid people would think.
Let's get those votes in right now on the essential games list. That's going to be a no for me. Joe?
It's a no. It's obviously a no. But I just got to say, like, you know, when it's not worth playing to have a laugh. You know, that's all. But it's obviously bad game, but essential music.
Sean?
It is not essential.
Man, you guys are curmudgeons about this game.
I hate this game.
You know, Joe and I recently got together and played a version of video game Monopoly, not on the NES, I think that's coming, but on PlayStation 5. We played a game of Monopoly on PlayStation 5, and I actually felt like that did so much more for me than an actual board game version of Monopoly would, because we were able to play so much faster, so much longer. Everything was handled for us. We just had to do the thinking, you know? We just had to say, like, do I want to buy this property? Do I want to, what do I want to mortgage? Like, you don't have to actually deal with the money and the paper and who owns what and somebody being the banker and stealing $20. Like, all that is put aside, and you just have the best version of this game that people have been playing since the 30s. Pictionary's not doing that here. Pictionary has provided only, in my opinion, and I'm sorry to say this, Joe, it's only provided a worse experience than the actual board game, because the minigames suck, the drawing sucks, and the only thing saving this is a ridiculous title theme song.
Yeah, I mean, where Monopoly made things faster and
you need a board.
You
literally need a board to play Monopoly, whereas you don't need anything. Like the board in Pictionary, there's nothing happens on these spaces. You could literally just roll dice and add up numbers, and it does the same thing. You don't even need to buy Pictionary to play Pictionary. But you need a board for Monopoly or the Game of Life, which I really liked on PlayStation 1.
Hell yeah.
So Yeah, this game does not deserve to exist.
Damn.